Welcome back, beautiful souls. Today we're diving deep into January 2026. And I have to tell you, this is not just another January. This is the month that sets the stage for the most transformative year of our lifetime. In this video, I'm going to walk you through January almost day by day. I'm going to be looking at the major transits, aspects, and planetary movements with the exact dates, and I will provide degrees as well in some cases. And then we will be looking at your specific sun sign, so I will break it down what this means in your everyday life, your relationships, or your career, your money, or your spiritual journey. And here's the thing. January ends with one of the rarest planetary ingresses we'll ever experience. Neptune entering Aries for the first time in 165 years. So grab your calendar, take some notes, and let's map out your January 2026 together. Before I go into the day-by-day breakdown, let me give you the overview, because context is everything. January 2026 is what I call a preparation month and a transition month. We begin with all the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Sun in Capricorn, creating this grounded, practical, let's get things done energy. But by the end of the month, Mercury, Venus, and Mars have all shifted into Aquarius, completely transforming the vibe from traditional to revolutionary. And here's what makes this month extraordinary. First, we have Saturn at the very last degrees of Pisces all month long. Saturn moves from 26 degrees to 28 degrees Pisces through January. Saturn had been in Pisces since March 2023, teaching us lessons about spirituality, compassion, boundaries with the formless, and mastering our emotions. January represents the final exam. Whatever spiritual lessons you've been learning since 2023, January is when you demonstrate mastery. In real life, this looks like finally getting or setting healthy boundaries with that energy draining friend or family member. It's finishing that creative or spiritual project you've started years ago. It's realizing you can be compassionate without being a martyr. Second, we have the Neptune also sitting at the very end of Pisces, preparing for its historic shift into Aries on January 26th. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011. That's 14 years. For many of you watching this, Neptune has been in Pisces your entire adult life. Neptune in Pisces brought us the rise of social media, filtered reality, increased addiction and escapism, but also massive spiritual awakening, meditation going mainstream, the spiritual but not religious movement. All of that, Neptune in Pisces. On January 26th, Neptune enters Aries for the first time in 165 years. None of us have experienced this. This is once in multiple lifetimes astrology. And third, we have Jupiter retrograde in Cancer all month. Jupiter moves backward from 21 degrees to 17 degrees Cancer. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer at its absolute strongest, but it's retrograde, which means the expansion is internal rather than external. This is the month for reviewing your emotional growth, reevaluating home and family matters, and going deeper into what truly makes you feel secure. Fourth, Uranus stations direct on January 30th at 27 degrees Taurus. Uranus has been retrograde since September 2025, asking us to internally review our values, finances, and material security. On January 30th, Uranus starts its preparation for the direct motion, and we can start implementing the changes we've been contemplating. And fifth, Pluto is moving direct through early Aquarius, continuing its 20-year transformation of collective consciousness, technology, and power structures. So that's the setup. Now let's go week by week and day by day. So we begin 2026 with heavy Capricorn energy. The Sun is in Capricorn until the 19th, and all three personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, are in Capricorn at the start of the month. The Sun is here until January 19th. Mercury and Mars, January 20th, January 23rd, and Venus up until January 18th. This is maximum Capricorn energy, ambition, discipline, structure, responsibility, building things that last. Mercury in Capricorn. January 2nd to January 20th. Mercury governs how we think, communicate, learn, and process information. In Capricorn, Mercury is practical, strategic, realistic, and focused on results. So from January 1st, 2nd to January 19th, 20th, your thinking will be goal-oriented and practical, focused on what actually works, strategic about time and resources, and less emotional and more logical. Then Venus is in Capricorn. On January 1st, Venus is already there. It's been there since December. It is now at 11 degrees and moves out of Capricorn by January 17th, January 18th. Venus governs love, relationships, beauty, values, money. In Capricorn, Venus is mature, practical, loyal, and focused on commitment. So your approach to love is more serious and less frivolous. It's focused on long-term potential, appreciating reliability in partners, attracted to mature and accomplished people. And then finally, Mars in Capricorn throughout January up until the 23rd. This is about disciplined action. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It functions at its absolute best here. So Mars in Capricorn is like a seasoned general with a detailed battle plan. It's strategic, disciplined, enduring, ambitious, and unstoppable. So you will have incredible focus on long-term goals, stamina and endurance, strategic thinking, ability to delay gratification for bigger rewards. For you, Cancer, the Capricorn Stellium is in your 7th house of partnership, marriage, and one-on-one relationships. So the 7th house governs marriage, committed partnerships, business partnerships, one-on-one relationships, contracts, open enemies, what you seek in a partner, basically. For Cancer rising, the way you can expect this to feel during January is by having serious conversations, for example, with partners about commitment and future plans. Thinking strategically about relationship structures. For example, you can have a detailed conversation with your partner about marriage timelines, or create a budget for a wedding, or shared living expenses, and discuss long-term goals with clarity and maturity. If you're a Cancer Sun, the way you can see this experience, the way you can experience this is by basically having your identity expressed through committed partnerships. So you want relationships that are stable and structured, and you start feeling that. For example, you can evaluate whether your current relationship has long term potential, or have honest conversations about compatibility, and either deepen your commitment or acknowledge it's time to move on. If you're a Cancer moon, the way you will feel this, you will feel emotional security through committed partnerships. You need a partner who is reliable and mature. For example, you can feel anxious in casual relationships and seek someone who can discuss the future seriously. You want now to make plans together. You want to build something lasting rather than just having fun. On January 2nd, there is a full moon in Cancer at 13 degrees. The moon governs our emotions, instincts, subconscious patterns, nurturing needs, sense of safety and security, and how we process feelings. It represents our inner world, our relationship with money, family, our need for comfort, and our emotional responses to life. Full moons specifically bring illumination, culmination, release, and emotional clarity. What was hidden becomes visible, and situations reach their peak. So, the first major lunar event of 2026 is this one. This full moon is significant because it's the wolf moon, it's the traditional name for January's full moon. It's conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. It is a big orb though. But Jupiter at 20 degrees Cancer does amplify this energy. It opposes the Sun in Capricorn, so your work, home, public, private achievement, nurturing tension. Full moons bring things to light, create emotional peaks, and often bring situations to completion. So, in general, what you might experience for all of us would be strong emotions about family or home situations, realizations about what you need to feel emotionally secure, family gatherings or important conversations, home related news or decisions, and heightened intuition and emotional sensitivity. This full moon asks us all, what do you need to feel at home in your own life? So, this full moon in Cancer on January 3rd is at 13 degrees Cancer. So, the Sun is at 13 degrees Capricorn, opposing the Moon at 13 degrees Cancer. Jupiter at 20 degrees Cancer, also here, conjuncts the Moon within a 7-degree orb. So you will be most effective if you have planets or angles at 11 to 15 degrees Cancer, as the Moon is conjunct those planets. So you can see emotional culmination, family home revelations. If you are 11 to 15 degrees Capricorn, the Sun is conjunct this full moon. So career, public life illuminated there. If you have any planets or angles at 11 to 15 degrees Aries, there is a square now from both the Sun and the Moon, so there will be some tension between independence and family versus career demands. And same for Libra, 11 to 15 degrees, the square from both Sun and the Moon can see some relationship needs versus home work balance challenge there. And if you are anything between 17, 18 degrees to 22 degrees Cancer, Jupiter is also conjunct this full moon for you, um, within a 7-degree orb. So you can see blessings in your home, family, and emotional abundance in general. Now, if you also have planets at between 18 and 22 degrees Cancer specifically, Jupiter is directly conjunct them during this full moon, creating an extra blessing in home, family, and emotional realm. So this can see some beautiful manifestations through family gatherings, home improvement gifts or opportunities, emotional healing that feels miraculous, family member bringing good news, or feeling abundantly supported and loved. Your home situation can be improving significantly at this date. Um, Pregnancy, if that's your path, it's also possible. Family, financial support, or inheritance in general. So, if we now move on to the second and third week of January, so let's say from the 18th to the 21st of January, that's when the great shift begins. So, let's start first with January 18th. There is a new moon in Capricorn. New moons mark fresh starts, new beginnings, intention setting, and planting seeds for the future. When the sun and the moon align in the sky, it creates a powerful portal for manifesting, initiating projects, and committing to new paths. New moons are about potential, possibilities, and consciously choosing what you want to grow in your life over the next lunar cycle. This is extraordinarily significant because 28 degrees Capricorn is an anaretic degree. It carries wisdom of entire sign. New moons represent new beginnings. It's the best time to set intentions. And final Capricorn new moon before the sun enters in Aquarius the next day. So set intentions around career goals, long-term legacy, structures and systems, responsibility, authority, achievement. This new moon says to all of us, build something that will last. So, Cancer, for you, the new moon in Capricorn is in will fall into your seventh house, just as all the planets in the stellium. It's there. So, if you are Cancer rising sun or moon, this new moon activates your partnership sector, calling for serious commitments here. Whether you're Cancer rising or ready to formalize a relationship, or a Cancer sun defining what you need from partnerships, or a Cancer moon seeking emotional commitment, this is about choosing who you will build with. The 28-degree suggests mastery. So you are ready to partner from a place of maturity, not need. For example, this new moon can see you if you're partnered. You start initiating a conversation about the next level, moving in together, getting engaged, or starting a family with a practical timeline and very clear expectations. If you're single, you can write out exactly what you're looking for in a partner. Not superficial qualities, but values, life goals, and deal breakers. And it can see you committing to dating with intention, saying no to situationship. Or you can see you formalizing a business partnership with a very clear contracts and roles. On the same day, on January 18th, Venus enters Aquarius, leaves Capricorn and enters Aquarius. Venus governs love, relationships, attraction, beauty, pleasure, values, money, art, and what brings us joy. It shows how we give and receive affection, what we find beautiful, how we relate to others, and what we value most. Venus represents our capacity for connection, harmony, aesthetics, and the quality of sweetness in life. Basically, everything that makes life worth living. This is a dramatic shift in the energy of love, relationships, and values. So Venus was in Capricorn up to January 17th, when it showed us a serious, committed, practical, traditional, mature way of living. With Venus in Aquarius from January 18th, we become or start seeing a more free-spirited, unconventional, friendship-oriented, independent, and innovative way of life. Practically after January 18th, there is a desire for more freedom in general for all of us in partnerships, attraction to unique people, intellectual connection mattering more than chemistry. So for you, Cancer, when Venus enters Aquarius on the same day with the new moon in Capricorn, it enters your 8th house of intimacy, shared resources, transformation, depth, merging. So if you're a Cancer rising sun or moon, Venus intensifies your intimacy and shared resources. Whether you're Cancer rising, ready for deep emotional bonding, a Cancer sun, finding identity through vulnerability, or a Cancer moon, craving soul level connection, you're attracted to authentic intimacy and psychological depth. Surface level interactions feel unsatisfying for you. You want to merge fully or not at all. So, to give you an example, in existing relationships, you can initiate deeper conversations about fears, desires, and authentic feelings, sharing parts of yourself you usually keep hidden. Physical intimacy can also become more meaningful and experimental. If you're single, you're attracted to intense, complex people and situations that demand emotional bravery. You might receive money from unconventional sources like inheritance, investment returns, or your partner's income supports a dream of yours. You can invest now in therapy, healing, or transformation work. And then one day after that, on January 19th, Sun will enter Aquarius. As you can see now, almost all planets have moved back from Capricorn into Aquarius. The Sun governs our core identity, the life force, vitality, ego, conscious will, and sense of purpose. It represents who we are in essence, our creative self-expression, and how we shine in the world. The Sun shows what gives us energy, what we are here to become, and the qualities we're developing throughout our lifetime. It's our central organizing principle. It's the I am at the heart of our being. Sun shifts from Capricorn into Aquarius, from traditional to revolutionary. Aquarius sun energy speaks about innovation, progress, community, individuality, technology, freedom, intellectual stimulation. So for you, Cancer, when the sun enters Aquarius, it enters your eighth house of shared resources, transformation, and intimacy. If you're Cancer rising, the sun illuminates your eighth house of shared finances, psychological depth, and intimate bonds. You're examining how you merge resources and energy with others, and where you need more autonomy or fairness. Cancer Sun finds their core identity through transformation and is ready to break old patterns around money, power, and vulnerability in relationships. Cancer Moon processes emotions by confronting what's hidden beneath the surface, needing honest conversations about intimacy, trust, and mutual investment rather than avoiding uncomfortable truths. So, to give you a specific example, you can have a very frank conversation with your partner about combining finances or splitting expenses more equitably, or you finally address a power imbalance in a close relationship where you've been giving more than receiving. Or this can see you renegotiating a business partnership or investigate other currencies or alternative investments or work with a therapist to unpack deep seated emotional patterns. This could also show up as confronting your relationship with debt, for example. You create a detailed plan to pay off credit cards, consolidate loans, or invest in your financial education through books and apps that look into complex topics. And then on January 20th, we have the golden window for the Saturn Sextile Uranus. This has been active since December, I would say, with a very extended orb, say around 5 degrees orb, September 25th, and it will still going to continue to be felt until February 13th, give or take. But January 20th, it's very exact. The orb, it's very exact. Because Saturn is at 27 degrees. Is at 27 degrees Pisces, and Uranus is at 27 degrees Taurus. 27 degrees 32 minutes, 27 degrees 38 minutes. Very, very close. This is it. It's exact. Basically, what this represents for all of us is an opportunity for sustainable innovation, practical revolutionary and responsible changes, and structured creativity. So the key question here that we are being asked by this Saturn Sextile Uranus aspect is, what's one significant change I can make that's both revolutionary, Uranus, and responsible, Saturn? So, Cancer, Saturn in your ninth house is sextiling Uranus in your 11th house of community. So Saturn in your 9th house of higher learning and Uranus in your 11th house of community. So if you're Cancer rising, this sextile connects your philosophical and educational pursuits with community activism and a future vision. You are learning innovative ideas and applying them practically through sustained group efforts. Cancer Sun finds identity through teaching or sharing knowledge with committed communities. Cancer Moon feels emotionally fulfilled when learning leads to meaningful collaboration with others who share your progressive ideals. So, for example, this can see you enrolling in a course or certification program that directly supports your involvement in a cause you care about. Maybe studying environmental science while volunteering for sustainability initiatives, or completing a coaching certification to better serve your community group. Or you might organize educational workshops for your network, bringing expert speakers or facilitating discussions on important topics with structured follow through. You are now combining your love of learning, the ninth house, with your commitment to collective progress, your 11th house, creating sustainable change through informed action rather than a reactive enthusiasm. On January 20th, Mercury enters Aquarius. Mercury governs communication, thinking, learning, information processing. It also governs short trips, siblings, and the exchange of ideas. It represents how our mind works, how we speak and write, how we learn and teach, and how we connect the dots. Mercury is the messenger, the translator, the networker. It's about gathering information, making connections, and expressing what we know. Mercury shifts from Capricorn strategic thinking to Aquarius innovative thinking. So from January 20th until February 7th, Mercury in Aquarius is asking us to think outside the box, to get to be interested in science and technology, to be direct and authentic communicators, to be inventive problem solvers. So when Mercury enters Aquarius on the 20th of January, for you Cancer, it enters your 8th house of shared resources, transformation, and intimacy. So if you are Cancer rising, Mercury brings analytical clarity to deep psychological work and financial partnerships. You are thinking objectively about intimacy, shared resources, and all sorts of transformation. If you're a Cancer Sun, you can communicate directly about previously taboo topics like money, power, or death, approaching them with intellectual curiosity. If you're a Cancer Moon, this can see you processing intense emotions through conversations and research, finding relief in understanding the psychology behind feelings rather than just experiencing them. So, for example, you can have very frank conversations with partners about finances, discussing budgets, investments, or fair distribution of resources with clear logic rather than emotional avoidance. Or you might research psychology, trauma healing, or financial strategies for debt elimination and wealth building, approaching these topics with detached interest. Therapy sessions also can become more productive during this time as you articulate patterns clearly, or you journal about shadow material with analytical insight. You're reading about topics like attachment theory, cryptocurrency, estate planning, or sexuality, subjects that require both intellectual rigor and emotional courage. And you're ready to talk about them openly. And now moving on to the final week of January. Final days. January 23rd is basically from January 23rd to January 26th, is the Aquarius conversions and Neptune's historic shift. On January 23rd, it is Mars who enters Aquarius. Mars governs action, drive, energy, passion, anger, desire, assertion, and how we pursue what we want. It represents our warrior spirit, our physical vitality, our courage, competitiveness. Mars shows how we take initiative, how we defend ourselves, how we express anger, and how we channel our willpower. Is the planet of action, motivation, and forward momentum. Pure drive and desire made manifest. So Mars shifts from disciplined Capricorn to rebellious Aquarius. So Mars in Aquarius from January 23rd to March 4th. It's action motivated by ideals, fighting for causes, independent approach to goals, innovation in how you pursue your desires. For all of us, it is a completely transformed vibe from traditional to revolutionary. And now all personal planets are in Aquarius. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. For you, Cancer, on January 23rd, when Mars enters Aquarius, it enters your 8th house of shared resources, intimacy, transformation, power, and depth. So Mars intensifies your drive for transformation and authentic intimacy. Whether you are Cancer rising, aggressively pursuing depth work, a Cancer sun, finding identity through psychological courage, or a Cancer moon, emotionally compelled to face shadow material, you are now motivated to confront what's hidden and merge fully. This is powerful energy for breaking through resistance to change. So to give you an example, you can confront a taboo topic during this time in therapy or with your partner, like sexuality, power dynamics, trauma, or death, refusing to avoid difficult truths. Or you're motivated to aggressively tackle death, creating an accelerated payoff plan and cutting expenses radically. In relationships, you demand authenticity and depth, unable to tolerate superficiality. You might engage in intensive healing modalities like EMDR or breath work or plant medicine, with courage to face whatever arises. Or you can fight for your share of resources or inheritance if there is inequality. And now, on January 26th, the Neptune enters Aries. This is a historic game changer. This is a once in 165 years historic event. Now, Neptune. It governs spirituality, dreams, imagination, illusions, compassion, transcendence, surrender, mysticism, and the dissolution of boundaries. It represents our connection to the divine, our capacity for unconditional love, our artistic inspiration, and our desire to merge with something greater than ourselves. Neptune can be both the highest spiritual vision and the deepest delusion. It's where we seek meaning beyond the material world. Neptune enters Aries at 0 degrees for the first time, since 1861, 1875. This is a fundamental shift. Until now, Aries was in Pisces, and it was saying dissolve your ego. Well, Neptune in Aries will now say take spiritual action. Neptune in Pisces was saying surrender to the flow. Neptune in Aries is now saying be a warrior for your beliefs. Or Neptune in Pisces was saying we are all one. Neptune in Aries is now saying have courage to pursue your dreams. What January 26 means for all of us, we will all feel something shift, a sudden courage, a calling to fight for a cause, or impatience with passive practices. So Cancer, when on this date, 26th of January, when Neptune enters Aries, it enters your 10th house of career, public life, reputation, legacy, authority. So Neptune transforms your career into a calling. Whether you are Cancer rising, being recognized as a compassionate leader, a Cancer sun, finding identity through inspired work, or a Cancer moon, feeling emotionally fulfilled by meaningful career, you are being called to professional pioneering that serves the collective. Over the next 13 years, your career becomes your ministry. So this can see you feeling called to change career entirely, moving toward work that combines passion with service, or maybe becoming a therapist, a yoga teacher, environmental lawyer, or social entrepreneur. If staying in your current field, you bring values into your work unapologetically, leading with compassion and courage. Or you can be recognized from now on not just for competence, but for inspired leadership and willingness to fight for what's right. Your public reputation becomes associated now with integrity, vision, and the courage to stand for something meaningful. Throughout the entire month of January, Uranus has been a retrograde in Taurus. And at the end of the month, it's starting to prepare for its direct station in Taurus. Uranus governs revolution, innovation, sudden change, awakening, rebellion, independence, technology, and liberation. It represents breakthroughs, genius insights, unconventional thinking, and the drive to break free from limitation. Uranus disrupts the status quo, bringing unexpected events that shake us awake and force evolution. It's the planet of progress, individuality, and a radical authenticity. It change happens suddenly but leads to freedom. Uranus now is at its final degrees in its 7-year journey in Taurus. It's been retrograding since September last year. It's now getting ready to station direct. It will happen exactly at the beginning of February. But that we can start feeling its direct motion effects. And what that will bring is basically a forward movement that it's activating in finances, values, material resources, technology, and lifestyle, which is what Taurus represents. Changes you can now implement, all of us in general, while Uranus is getting ready to move direct, are new jobs, investment strategies, lifestyle changes, and technology upgrades. So, for you, Cancer, Uranus throughout the month will be retrograde into your 11th house, and at the end of the month is starting to get ready for its direct motion into this house. So Uranus direct activates your social sphere and long-term aspirations. Whether you are Cancer rising, connecting with progressive communities, or Cancer sun, finding identity through collective movements, or Cancer moon, feeling emotionally fulfilled by meaningful friendships, you can now start to see, or you can now start actively participate in groups and pursue future goals. Networking now moves from contemplation, which was the feeling during this entire month, through to action. So this can see you joining or creating a group organized around innovation, a tech collective, activist organization, or mastermind focused on entrepreneurship. You might launch a community project that you've been planning throughout the month and throughout the period that Uranus has been retrograde, or start organizing events that bring like-minded people together, or publicly align with causes through social media and activism. Friendships shift now. You start distancing from relationship that feels stagnant and start attracting people who inspire your evolution. Your 5-year goals crystallize now. You take concrete steps towards manifesting them, possibly involving technology, collective work, or breaking from traditional paths. Now let's have a look at Jupiter. Jupiter is also, let's have a look, Jupiter here. It's also been retrograding the entire month in Cancer. Jupiter governs expansion, growth, wisdom, optimism, faith, abundance, higher learning, and the search for meaning. It represents our capacity for hope, generosity, philosophical understanding, and the principle that life is fundamentally benevolent. Jupiter shows where we seek to grow, what we believe in, how we find meaning, and our relationship with luck and opportunity. When a retrograde, Jupiter turns growth inward, developing internal wealth, wisdom, and faith rather than external expansion. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, but it's being retrograding, so it's about internal expansion. What you're experiencing, what you can be experiencing, or all of us can be experiencing during this time, is internal emotional growth, or reviewing home and family matters, building internal security. The blessings are happening inside ourselves this month. So, in general, Jupiter, the most activated degrees this month are from 17 to 21 degrees, because Jupiter is retrograde from 21 to 17 degrees Cancer throughout January 2026. Until it will station direct. It will continue its retrograde motion during next month as well. So let's dive a little bit deeper into understanding Jupiter retrograde. When Jupiter, the planet of expansion, abundance, and wisdom, it's retrograde, the growth turns inward. Instead of external opportunities and blessings, you are experiencing internal expansion, physical deepening, emotional wisdom, spiritual growth. Jupiter in Cancer retrograde specifically means reviewing your emotional needs, your family relationships, your sense of home, and what truly makes you feel secure. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. This means Jupiter functions at its absolute best in Cancer. Even retrograde, Jupiter in Cancer brings blessings, but they're internal, private, and emotional rather than external and visible. This entire month is perfect for emotional healing, family reconciliation, inner work on security issues, and understanding what home truly means to you. Don't expect external expansion just yet. That comes after Jupiter goes direct in March. January is about internal emotional abundance. All month Jupiter retrograde in Cancer brings internal blessings like emotional intelligence. This can see you understanding feelings deeply, becoming emotionally wiser. It can bring family healing, internal shifts in family relating, even without external conversations. It can bring home appreciation, gratitude for where you live. It can bring nurturing capacity, so you can become better at caring for self and others. It can bring you security, wisdom, understanding what truly creates security for you. It can be about feeling connected to your ancestral lineage, or in general, it's inner wealth. It's about your emotional abundance regardless of the externals. So use January for internal work. External manifestations comes in March when Jupiter goes direct. Now, Cancer. During January, Jupiter is a retrograde in your first house of self, identity, personal growth, your body, your life direction. This is your Jupiter retrograde, Cancer. Internal expansion of self and identity. Whether you're Cancer rising, growing into yourself privately, a Cancer sun fighting identity through internal development, or a Cancer moon emotionally fulfilled by self nurturing, you are now experiencing exalted Jupiter's blessings internally. Public reinvention waits. Profound self development happens now. So, for example, you can be becoming now someone new, but you aren't really quite ready to show it yet. Or you're investing in yourself through therapy, coaching, spiritual practice at this moment, or self help resources that expand your sense of who you are and what is possible. Or you might gain some weight, that is also possible with Jupiter in your first house. Or your body changes as Jupiter expands your physical presence and your physical body. But you're learning to embrace it rather than fight it. Your confidence now grows internally, even if others don't see it yet. You are discovering parts of yourself you had suppressed, and the emotional growth now is profound. When Jupiter goes direct in June, you will emerge transformed. Now, throughout the month, we're also having Saturn in Pisces at its final degrees. Saturn governs structure, discipline, responsibility, maturity, limitations, time, authority, and mastery through effort. It represents our relationship with reality, hard work, long term commitment, and the principle that growth requires patience and dedication. Saturn shows where we must mature, what we're building over time, and where we face our greatest tests. It's the wise teacher who demands excellence. It's the taskmaster who creates lasting achievement through disciplined effort. Saturn is now completing a 2.5 year journey through Pisces, and it will enter Aries next month. We are all now being asked to complete our spiritual projects, to master boundaries with compassion, and to release martyrdom patterns. For you, Cancer, Saturn throughout the month of January stays in your ninth house of higher education, philosophy, beliefs, travel, meaning, wisdom. Saturn's final teachings in your wisdom sector ask for integration of philosophical growth. Whether you are Cancer rising, completing educational pursuits, a Cancer sun embodying matured beliefs, or a Cancer moon finding emotional security through spiritual understanding, you are finalizing your worldview and relationships with meaning. Next month, Saturn moves to community. Now you master your personal philosophy. For example, you can now be finishing educational programs or certifications or long-term study that you've committed to during Saturn's 3-year transit in your ninth house. Or your spiritual beliefs have matured now. You've tested various practices, and now what resonates authentically versus what you adopted from others, it's what is going to stay with you. Or you might complete a significant journey or pilgrimage, or simply recognize how much your perspective has expanded during these 2.5 years. You are mastering faith tempered by wisdom, belief supported by experience, and hope grounded in a reality. Your philosophy is now truly yours. And let's have a look at Pluto now. Pluto, again, all month long, it will be in Aquarius. Pluto governs transformation, death and rebirth, power, the unconscious, obsession, and the process of deep fundamental change. It represents what must die so something new can be born, where we experience power and powerlessness, and our capacity for profound psychological transformation. Pluto digs beneath the surface to expose truth, eliminates what's no longer viable, and catalyzes complete metamorphosis. It's the planet of evolution through crisis, of intensity through healing, and empowerment through facing our shadows. Transforming collective consciousness, technology, power structures throughout from 2026 to 2043. So the themes of Pluto in Aquarius in general is technology's role in society, power in networks, collective movements. So for you, Cancer, Pluto is in your 8th house of shared resources, intimacy, and deep psychology. So Pluto here is in his natural house in your chart. It's intensifying transformation around intimacy and shared resources. So whether you are Cancer rising, experiencing profound psychological rebirth, a Cancer sun fighting identity through depth and power, or Cancer moon emotionally transformed by facing shadow, you are now diving into the depths for the next 19 years. Superficiality is impossible. Everything must be real from now on. So this can see you experiencing profound transformation through intimacy or shared resources, shared finances, and psychological work. Relationship either deepen to soul level or end completely. There is going to be no middle ground. You might also explore alternative approaches to shared resources like collective ownership, innovative investments, or completely transform your relationship with power and control. You can do therapeutic work now, shadow integration, practices that will basically fundamentally change you. You become powerful through vulnerability and wise through facing what others avoid. And finally, the North and South Node. The North Node is in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo. The lunar nodes are the points where the moon's orbit crosses the ecliptic, marking our soul's evolutionary path. The North Node shows where we're growing, the new skills, the attitudes, and experiences we are meant to develop in this lifetime. The South Node represents our comfort zone, natural talents and past patterns that we must release to evolve. The nodes reveal our karmic direction, what we are moving toward, the north, and what we're moving away from, the south node. They show the fundamental tension between comfortable habits and necessary growth. So the north node is about surrender, compassion, creativity, and faith. The south node is about releasing perfectionism, overanalysis, and control. Collectively, we are asked to trust more, control less, feel more, analyze less, due to the nodes being in Pisces and Virgo. That would be a general understanding. So for you, Cancer, the North Node in your 10th house, into your 9th house, and the South Node into your 3rd house, talks about your evolution from analytical thinking to intuitive wisdom. So your soul's evolution involves moving from perfectionist communication to faith-based wisdom. Whether you are Cancer rising, expanding into your spiritual understanding, a Cancer sun fighting identity through beliefs beyond logic, or a Cancer moon emotionally fulfilled by psychological exploration, you are being called to trust intuition over analysis and embrace mastery over certainty, faith over facts. So to give you an example, you can be learning now to stop over analyzing every conversation and instead trust your intuitive knowing. Instead of reaching every detail before forming opinions, you are developing faith in wisdom that comes through meditation, spiritual practice, or creative exploration. You might be drawn now to study philosophy, spirituality, or subjects that can't be perfectly systemized. Travel can also become less about perfect itineraries and more about surrendering to experience. You are discovering now that some truths can't be spoken clearly but must be felt deeply. And that's January 2026 for you. Quick recap of your power dates. January 3rd, full moon emotions peak. January 18th, new moon, set your intentions. January 20th, Saturn Sextile Uranus, your golden window for sustainable change. January 26th, Neptune Enters Aries, once in 165 years. Feel that shift. January 30th, Uranus is preparing to move direct after months of retrograde. It changes finally move forward. If you want a full deep dive, 90 minutes plus covering your entire 2026, link is in the description and pinned in the comment. Drop your rising sign below, hit like if this helped, subscribe for February's forecast, and remember, the stars don't control you, they inform you. What you do with this energy is up to you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.